Afternoon YouTube, this is Mr. Shadow with another tech video for you. Just before I go any further, I'd like to thank our viewers. I've jumped on YouTube just then and I noticed that Zedrew is up to 31 views and Lazav is up to 48. Thank you for watching the videos. We would like some comments, don't have to, but we would like to hear any comments that you have. Any questions you might have or anything like that. And yeah, thank you. Anyway, without further ado, let's go on. So this deck tech video is for Scion of the Ur-Dragon, 5-color commander, dragon. He is my dragon tribal commander. Wouldn't do it any other way. So he's a 5-drop for a 4/4, but he really makes up, and you know, 5-drop for 4/4, that's not bad, but what makes him astounding is his ability. So I can pay 2 and search my library for a dragon card, throw it in the grave. If I do, he becomes a copy of that card until end of turn, and I shuffle my library. This is the penultimate dragon commander, because no matter what situation you're in, with him, you will almost always have an answer. Anyway, so let's move on. So, the land base, we'll start with the non-basic colorless. So, Temple of the False Gods, Skog, the Rage Pits, and Sunhome, Fortress of the Legion. So, Commander Staple, it'll be in pretty much all the videos. Skog, the Rage Pits, so red and a green. Target creature gets +1/+1 and trample till end of turn. And Sunhome, Fortress of the Legion. Pay 2, a red and a white. For target creature, gain double strike till end of turn. Now, I should mention these two are solely in here for their second ability. I would not use them for just, mana generation. So let's move on to the basics. So, being 5-color commander, I run 2 snow-covered plains, 2 snow-covered islands, 3 snow-covered swamps, 3 snow-covered forests, and most importantly, 3 snow-covered mountains. Now, I'm sure people have noticed that I'm only running 2 of the islands and the plains. That's mostly because the deck revolves around these 3 colors. I don't have many cards in the deck that use these 2. Mostly it's red, black, and green. Another thing you'll have noticed is that they're all snowlands, and I'm sure you're all thinking, what the hell? Why is he running snowlands? Cold Snap and Ice Age weren't that great. They weren't, but some of the cards in them were brilliant, and there was one dragon in as far as I know, one decent dragon, and that is, you will see that one later, but it uses snow mana for its ability, which is janky as hell. Well, not so much janky as just, great. So, now we'll move on to the multicolored lands. These ones are filtered lands, so they're slightly different to the usual ones. Sky Cloud Expanse, white-blue. Mossfire Valley, red-green. Dark Water Catacombs, blue-black. Sungrove Prairie, green-white. Shadowblood Ridge, red-black. And Crystal Quarry. Now, filter lands are basically you pay 1 and tap, and you get 2 colors. So you can just throw colors. So say you tap a Soul Ring. I've got 2 mana floating, and I've got 2 of these out. You can get white, blue, and red, green off that 2 mana. It's quite good. Plus, these are mostly for mana fixing. I'm sure some of the more some players have noticed. They're all allied colors. It's a thing. I don't know if there wouldn't be any enemy-colored ones. I don't think enemy colors was well, I'm not going to speak about that set because, I wasn't around for Odyssey. But yeah, like, I think people prefer to be running ally colors. So Crystal Quarry taps add colors to my mana pool. So if I have this out but I don't have the 5, I can tap that to pump it into there. Or I can pay 5 and tap this to add 1 of each mana to my mana pool. Easiest way to get Scion out, or one of the easiest ways to get him out. Without having to get 5 different lands out that tap for exactly what I need. So yeah, so that's the land base there. Oh wait, no, there's still some more. These I had to work really hard to get, and something tells me most of my viewers can tell what they're going to be. So, Temple Garden, Sacred Foundry, hang on, get there. Steam Vents, Overgrown Tomb, Breeding Pool, Godless Shrine, Blood Crypt, Hallowed Fountain, Watery Grave, and Stomping Grounds. So that's all 10 shock lands. Yeah, that took forever to make happen, but I'm extremely happy that it did happen. Come on. Sorry guys, I'm doing this while looking through the camera. I'm not really looking at where my hands are, so that was a little bit awkward. So the rest in multicolored lands I have are Command Tower and Cavern of Souls. Everyone knows about Command Tower. Cavern of Souls, though, is relatively new. It's like standard. So it's a staple in most tribal commander in tribal decks, whether it's commander or not. So you choose a creature type when it comes in, and the second ability is tap to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, and you can spend that and you can only spend it to cast a creature spell of the chosen type, and that spell can't be countered. So it's very nice. And definitely a staple in pretty much any tribal deck. Okay, so sticking with the theme of mana, let's go on to the mana fixing and just, yeah, all that kind of stuff. So, Mana Reflection, when I tap a permanent for mana, it produces twice as much. So, say I throw down Soul Ring, I can tap it while that's out to produce 4 mana. 4 mana for 7 really isn't, in the long run, it's not bad. It's quite fun. So Prismatic Omen, lands I control are every basic land type in addition to their other types. So that basically turns a mountain into a forest, island, swamp, and a plains all at the same time. It can tap for all colors. It is ridiculous for just 2 mana. Chromatic Lantern. It's basically the same thing in artifact form, except the lands just tap for any color. They're not basic. They're not every type of land, and this itself can tap for 1 of any color. So it's essentially a mono rock. Caged Sun enters the battlefield. Choose a color. I usually call red, because pretty much all dragons are red or have red in them. So creatures in control of the chosen color get red, as if my dragons aren't big enough already. And then when a land's ability adds 1 mana of the chosen color to my mana pool, I can add 1 additional mana to the pool. And Gilded Lotus, tap to add 3 of any color. So this plus Mana Reflection, tap for blue. Yeah, I have 6 blue mana. This thing is paid for itself. Well, it pays for itself. Okay, so that's all that done. Let's move on to the staples. So, Dark Steel Plate and Lightning Greaves. I'd actually say that is a commander staple, because commander's indestructible. The biggest problem you have with the commander is most people go out of their way to destroy them. That is a really nice way to prevent that. I mean, for 5 mana, indestructible commander, done. Lightning Greaves, I don't think much has to be said about this, because it's pay 2 to get haste and shroud. You know, speaks for itself. Chroma's Memorial, very nice in pretty much any aggro deck ever. So creatures you control become mini Achroma, so they get flying, first strike, vigilance, trample, haste, and pro black, pro red. I quite like the flavor text. No rest, no mercy, no matter what. Hello. Fits perfectly. So Channel the Suns. Pay 4 to get one of each color. Pays for itself in the long run, and you get an extra mana free. Very useful for getting commanders out when you're low on mana. Urban Evolution. Pay 5 to draw 3 and play an additional land. It's kind of like Bigger Explore, except you can still only play one land. Still not a bad idea, though. Odric. Seems like an odd addition to Dragon Tribal, but I reckon any white deck that is aggro really should be running this, because when he and at least three other creatures attack, you can choose to have your opponent not block at all. So it's a game it's a game winner at the best of times. At the worst of times, not too sure what you could do with that. Asceticism gives creatures you can control Troll Shroud. Troll Shroud, it doesn't say it has Shroud, it doesn't say it has Hexproof, but it's pretty much giving them Hexproof. Plus, you can pay 1 and a green to regenerate a creature you control. So it's fairly good for what it does. Fairly surprised it only costs 5. Primal Surge. Realistically, I'd say any any deck that runs high cost creatures or permanents really should be running this, because it's 10 to play as many permanents as you can off the top of your library as you go. So it's like, oh, I reveal a dragon. Boom, it's on the field. Oh, I reveal a dragon. Field. Dragon. Field. Dragon. Field. Instant. Oh, but I got 3 or 4 dragons for 10 mana. So you're beating the mana curve with this, I'd say. Anger, I'd suggest that really any red deck really should be running this, because as long as you've got a mountain on the field and this is in the grave, creatures you control have haste. So it's quite good. Just dump it and get haste. Crucible of Fire, easily necessary for any Dragon Tribal. If you're not running this in Dragon Tribal, I'm sorry, sir, you may need a full frontal lobotomy. Thank you and good night. Door of Destinies. I'd say this is quite good, because when it comes in you choose a creature type, I would choose dragons. For each dragon I play, it gets a charge counter on it, and for each charge counter on it, my dragons get +1/+1. So it's hard to go wrong with it, no matter what side of the fence you stand on. Maelstrom Nexus, so pay 5-drop to give the first spell you play each turn Cascade. That's not during that, and when it says each turn, it doesn't mean during each of your turns, it means during each turn. So during your opponent's turns. That Cascade will fire off on anything you flash in or a counterspell you play. Quite good. Like, stupid good. And defensives, so Ghostly Prison and Propaganda. Basically just to keep people from hitting me while I build up my forces. It's not a slow deck. I'd say it's a mid-range deck in terms of speed. Like it might take a little while for it to get going, but once it's going, you're gonna have trouble stopping it. So it might be a little early, but early on in the video, but I'll show you the planeswalkers I'm running for this. So I'm running Sarkhan Vol and Nicol Bolas. Bolas obviously being a dragon, he's very flavorful, and Sarkhan Vol being essentially a dragon tamer, dragon shaman, very flavorful. So Sarkhan Vol, creatures I control get +1/+1 and haste till end of turn. -2 is gain control of target creature till end of turn, eliminate any nasty blockers, and -6 is put 5 4/4 red dragon tokens onto the field. I actually have the token right here, so I get 5 of these little buggers. Yay! All of the dragons for me, because no one else needs dragons, only me. So Nicol Bolas, very, very different. +3 to destroy target non-creature permanent. -2 is very much similar, except his is a permanent gain control. And the -9 is deal 7 damage to target player. They discard 7 cards and sacrifice 7 permanents. That seems very much like Cruel Ultimatum, except, you know, more boss, because it's Bolas. Okay, so that's the planeswalkers done. I'm going to show you the little pieces of tech I have in the deck first, then the dragons, and then finish on the combo pieces, solely because the combo pieces really only make sense once you've seen the dragons. So, nice little tech piece I've got here is Form of the Dragon. Get out of there, Bolas. So, Form of the Dragon. You'll notice the artwork is actually Sarkhan Vol, just going nuts. It is amazing. So what it does is, during my upkeep, at the beginning of my upkeep, I deal 5 damage to target creature or player. The downside, and creatures without flying can't attack me. The downside to it is that at the end of each turn, my life total becomes 5. But it's kind of a bonus, because unless you can burn me for 5 or more damage, I will survive. It's not going to change at all. So that's that. Dark Imposter. This is a little strange to have in the deck, but it's like, I'm going to exile your things. He essentially becomes a clone of them, gains their activated abilities. What I can do, and what I actually want to do one day, is have Scion on the field and use Dark Imposter's ability, giving it Scion's activated ability, and then bring him back. So I've got 2 Scions, because why the hell not? So it's a strange little idea, but it's my little idea. It's janky as fuck, but it'll work, and I'm very sorry for cursing. I know we're supposed to be keeping this channel PG, but sometimes I slip. So Archangel's Light. Yeah, that one's tech, mostly because he dumps dragons in the grave. So I gain 2 life for each dragon in the grave, and then shuffle them back into the library, so I can reuse his ability. Very nice card. This is probably one of the few cards with white in it that you'll ever see me use. Call to the Kindred, throw it on Scion, basically get a dragon each turn from the top 5 cards, with 30 dragons in the deck. With 30-ish dragons in the deck, chances are I'll be triggering this off pretty easily. Cauldron Dance. I can only play it during combat, but I return target creature card from my grave to play, and it gains haste, and I return it to my hand. So I basically recur a creature. I'll finish it first, and then I'll explain a bit more. Then I put a creature card from hand into play. Creature gains haste, and then I dump it into the grave. So what it does is, creature I want in my grave, I can bring back to hand after attacking with it, after getting it out and attacking with it, and a creature I don't want in hand, I can throw into the field, get an attack in, and then dump it in the grave. I actually discovered a very nice combo piece, a nice little combo to do with it. For the return to hand one, doesn't really matter what I choose. With this one, it has to be very specific. I can choose either Yosei or Ryusai, or even Kukusho, I think. Yeah. So, they've attacked, they're on the field, and then they die, so their ability triggers. It's brilliant. I'm very upset that I didn't find this earlier. Bell-based portal. So when it comes into play, I choose a creature type, and I can pay 3 and tap to put creature card of the chosen type into play from my hand. It's kind of an older version of Quicksilver Amulet, except I'd say Quicksilver Amulet is strictly better, simply because Quicksilver Amulet you can throw anything down onto the field. This really works in tribal decks though. So, tribal you want Bell-based portal, non-tribal you'd want Quicksilver Amulet. Fist of Suns, so you may pay 1 of each color rather than pay for the mana cost of spells that I play. What that does is he constantly costs 5, even if no matter how many times he heads to the command zone. So rather than him costing extra, he will always cost 5. It's brilliant. Sudden Spoiling. Some of you may, if you've seen the Lazav deck tech video, you'll have seen this already. So split second pretty much ends the stack, and creature's target player controls become 0/2 and lose all abilities till end of turn. So if you've got a field full of flyers, I'll play this, and you can't block me. So yeah, I win. Finest Hour. So Exalted. Whenever a creature I control attacks alone, if it's the first combat phase of the turn, untap that creature. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase. So what I'll do is, I'll attack with him. After turning him into something, he gets the Exalted trigger. He hits you, however much commander damage. He untaps. I get a second phase. And then I'll swing with everything else, and the Exalted triggers off. But if I swing with him alone again, the Exalted will trigger off again, so he gets even stronger. One thing I probably should have mentioned about Scion is his ability allows me to do it at any point. So if you choose to block him, I can pay 2 to choose to turn him into an appropriate block. To choose him, I can turn him into something that will beat your blocker and live. I can turn him into an answer to a problem you're presenting me with. If I cannot prevent his death, then I will let him hit the grave after turning him into Ryusai or Yosei and screw you over. And if I can see a potential win, if you're not going to block him, I'll turn him into a dragon that can pull off a win. So yeah, he's very versatile. Life from the Loam. Return up to 3 target land cards from your grave to hand, and dredge 3. So dredge is basically, if you will draw a card, you can instead put exactly the number of cards that the dredge is quoted at from the top of your library into the grave. If you do, you can return it from your graveyard to your hand. So it basically replaces your draw with the ability to recur that spell. It works especially well with Realms Uncharted, the next card. So search my library for 4 lands with different names and reveal them. An opponent chooses 2 of them. The chosen cards go to grave and the rest into my hand, and then I shuffle. So this is very good for, mana fixing, especially with this. They're a combo piece. This one is pretty much the green land version of Gifts Ungiven, except, less broken. I'd actually say that combo is a little bit more effective than Expedition Map, because, you get 3 lands. And final piece of tech is unexpected results. So you shuffle your library and reveal the top card. If it's a non-land, you may cast it without paying the mana cost. If it's a land, you put it onto the battlefield and return unexpected results to hand. So you're paying 4. If you hit a land, you get it onto the field and you get this back to hand. If you hit a spell, a non-land, then you can play it for free, or essentially for 4. Okay, so that's tech. So now onto the dragons. This is easily the best part of it. So, Scourge of Care Ridges. I'll do a few of them at a time, just because there's a whole bunch of them. It'll be easier to go through it this way. So, there's those 3. And I'm just getting some of the relevant dragons together. I really should have done this before. But yeah, like, there are a few random dragons in here. There are a few not so random dragons. But those 3. Okay, so Scourge of Care Ridges is basically a field clearer. When he's on the field, I can choose to clear either your non-flyers, or I can choose to clear all other creatures with flying, whichever I choose. And of course, there's the mana cost for them. Dragon Tyrant. He's what I mean when I say I'll go in for the kill, because he's got flying, trample, and double strike, and he's a 6/6. So with Exalted, he becomes a 7/7, deals 14 damage, untaps with Finest Hour, and then swings again as an 8/8. That's instant lethal commander damage. And Killmouth. This one is one that I'd like to play from hand, mostly because, amplify and then burn. I'd be stupid to do it any other way. So on to the next set of dragons. So, Barosh, Intet, Numot, Teneb. So these 4 are pretty much, they come with the commander decks. So Teneb is the recursion one, Numot destroys lands, Intet allows me to exile the top card of my library and play for free, and Varosh just boosts himself. Varosh actually works well in a combo with something else. Hang on, I'll get that out first. Before I go any further, I know where you are. There we are. So Skithiryx, the Infect Dragon. So his real name is Skithiryx, the Blight Dragon, but he's the only dragon with Infect. So you turn Scion into him, get 6+1/+1 counters, turn him into him next turn and swing. That's 10 poison counters, which is lethal right off the bat, no matter what they can do. So then I've got some older dragons, some elder dragons. So I've got Chromium, so flying and rampage 2, and Nicol Bolas. So Bolas, when he damages an opponent, when he deals damage to an opponent, they discard their hand. And Chromium has rampage. So rampage is when it attacks, if it's blocked, it gets +2/+2 for each blocker beyond the first one. So he basically becomes bigger for each thing that's blocking him. It's very nice. One other thing you'll notice is they have, I'd say it's an echo cost or something like that. So you've got it's similar to the echo cost. So you have to pay for Chromium white, blue, black to keep him during your upkeep, and for Bolas red, blue, black to keep him during your upkeep. But because I turn Scion into them, there's almost no need to pay that upkeep trigger. Furnace Dragon, so he has affinity for artifacts. I threw him in to face Mr. Fishy. So when he comes into play, if I played him from my hand, I exile all artifacts from the game. Mr. Fishy runs a Hana deck, which is very artifact combo. It annoys the living hell out of me, so I threw this in. And it pissed him off many times. Quicksilver Dragon. Now he's an example of what I mean when I say Scion can turn into an answer. So if you're targeting Scion with something and I don't want him targeted with it, I can turn him into Quicksilver Dragon and pay the blue to change the target to, say, your commander. It's quite a fun little card. So then there's Karthus, former Dragon Commander for this deck. Flying Haste. When he comes into play, I gain control of all dragons and untap them. This includes if you're playing Niv and you have Niv Mizzet out, I get him and I untap him. And other dragons have Haste. So he's very nice for a final strike. Ryusai and Yosei, so they're the Kamigawa dragons. They have abilities that don't trigger when they enter the field, but when they die. So Ryusai deals 5 damage to each creature without flying, and Yosei forces someone to skip their untap step for their next turn, and I can tap up to 5 permanents they control. So it's quite a nasty little card. Catacomb Dragon, so dragons, when he's blocked by a non-artifact, non-dragon, the creature's power gets halved, rounded up, so he makes them weaker, he can block them, and he lives. Balefire, I'd be stupid not to run this, because when it deals combat damage to a player, it deals that much damage to each creature they control. Very good for board wipes. Hellkite Charger. When it attacks, pay 7 to get an additional combat phase. Very nice card. Rhymescale. Now this is the one that uses the snow mana. 2 and a snow mana to tap target creature and put an ice counter on it. And as long as he's around creatures with ice counters on them, don't untap during their controller's untap step. It's very nice, very annoying to other people. Horde Smelter, so flying, pay 4 to destroy target artifact, and it gets fire breathing when it gets plus X plus 0 till end of turn, where X is the artifact's converted mana cost. Sorry, I know I'm speeding through these, but I don't want this video to go as long as the last one did. So Moonveil Dragon, pay 1 to give everything fire breathing. Vampiric Dragon, when a creature dealt damage by a Vampiric Dragon this turn is put into a grave, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and pay 1 and a red to deal 1 damage to target creature. It's very good, very useful. Mana Charge Dragon, he's the only joined forces dragon. So when it attacks or blocks, each player, starting with me, can pay any amount of mana. He gets plus X plus 0, where X is the total amount of mana paid this way. So it's very good if you want to if you've made friends and you're blocking something that's going to kill you and they want you to survive. Utvara Hellkite, when a dragon I control attacks, put up a 6/6 red dragon creature onto the field. That's the token for it. Get off my glove. Yay! I have all of the dragons. They're the greatest. No matter what anyone else says. I'm looking at you, Mr. Fishy. So, Begotten Hellkite has Flash. When it comes into play, deals 5 damage divided as I choose among any number of target creatures or players. Very good for getting rid of certain annoying creatures and dealing extra damage to players. Hellkite Overlord, Flying, Trample, Haste, pay 1 to give it fire breathing, pay a red and a green to regenerate. That's actually quite nice. Plus, Sock Involved flavor text. And final dragon is Hellkite Tyrant. Sorry, YouTube. So Flying and Trample. When he deals combat damage to a player, I gain control of all artifacts that player controls. And at the beginning of my upkeep, if I control 20 or more artifacts, I win the game. I don't aim to use that second ability, but it's nice taking other people's artifacts. So I'm just going to speed through the combo pieces. If you want to know anything extra about them, just comment on the YouTube channel and I'll answer any questions. So, and burial rites, basically to recur any nice dragons in grave thrown there by Scion. Stolen identities, to copy what Scion is, because there's no legend rule when Scion transforms, unless you card those. Wheel of Sun and Moon, if a card would be put into enchanted player's graveyard from anywhere. Instead, that card is revealed and put on the bottom of that player's library. So with him, I have an endless support. I can endlessly turn him into a single dragon that is necessary. Plus, anti-mill. And Patriarch's Bidding. So if Wheel of Sun and Moon isn't out, each player chooses a creature type. Each player returns all cards of all creatures of the type chosen that way from graveyard to play. So I basically go from having a few dragons to having all the dragons. So that's pretty much Scion done. Just for a little bit of novelty, I thought I'd show you guys a little something. Behold, my pages of rare dragons. Stupid. There we go. So that's page 1. Page 2. As you can see, I have many dragons. They are the greatest. Anyone who says otherwise should be shot. So all of the weird and rare dragons. Ahahaha. By the way, vote one in the comments if you love dragons. In fact, just vote 1 to piss off Mr. Fishy. And this is the final page. So yay! Just so everyone knows, a lot of time, trading, and money have gone into building up that collection, and I will never let it go. Oh, one final thing. If you have a dragon that you haven't seen in the deck, or in the pages, please post it on the, please post it in the comments. I will personally reply to your comment, and I will trade for it, or I will buy it off you, because dragons. Anyway, good afternoon YouTube, and I hope you have a pleasant day.